Hi everyone, I'm Jocelyn, and I am grateful you're here. You're listening to the Starting with Gratitude podcast. This is a safe space intended to host meaningful conversations exploring all topics of the human experience. Every conversation starts with gratitude and remains rooted in gratitude. After you listen, make sure to join the community by subscribing and sharing. I am so happy you have joined us. Hi, Aaron.
What's going on?
How is your heart doing in this moment?
My heart?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my heart couldn't be any better than it is right now, honestly. I'm in this space in my life where I feel like I've unlocked what some people might call nirvana, I guess. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but like I feel like I got into a point in my life where I'm just like I'm good regardless of like whatever situation I'm in, just because I know that everything is okay even when it's not okay, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, totally makes sense. Was there a season before this season of your life that led you to this state of being?
Hell yeah. Like I didn't just get here. This has been honestly like years of work and self-improvement and like I guess like soul searching or whatever. It's just like this is years of personal development and like working on myself like every single day because a couple years ago I saw myself for somebody who I didn't want to be, and I think it was like in those moments it's like, okay, I need to get better not only for myself but for the people that I interact with on a daily basis, the people that I have, specific kind of relationships with, and just like overall, like any area of my life that can spill into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to talk about all of that. But before we really dive into the conversation, I am going to invite you to share with us what you wrote down for your gratitude.
So I seen that you like asked me like multiple times to write what I'm grateful for down. Like, but I actually I don't feel like I needed to write it down just because
Okay.
even just during my daily like practice for my own self-development, like I always go through my areas of gratitude, just part of like my meditation and like morning routine, just because I feel as though, before anything, you have to like everything has to begin with gratitude because, nothing I have has come without some sacrifice or without some help or, or whatever. And so, showing gratitude is like the foundation of like any and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
like for me to go into what I'm grateful for, like I'm grateful for, every day, like every day of life, like, just waking up every day. Cause, there are people who don't get that because, when it comes down to it, as much as we feel like, life is full of things and anything can happen, is the same way as like, our life can end, immediately. So I'm grateful for every day of life. I'm grateful for the opportunities that present themselves to me every day. I'm grateful for the people I work with. I'm grateful for the people that hire me to work on projects. I'm grateful for my daughter. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for just like my health and well-being, even in this time of the world. And, I'm grateful for my talents. I'm grateful for the fact that I can work for myself and the fact that I've been working for myself going on 4 years now. There's so much in my life I'm grateful for just because, without the things that are like just that are currently in my life, like I would not be where I'm at right now. So I'm just filled with gratefulness for everything.
Yeah, I feel the same. And I do feel like, you know, coming to this destination where we do have such an intimate, I guess, relationship with gratitude is something that, I mean, I personally also had to kind of practice and build strength towards. And that's why I emphasize gratitude so much, because I feel like there's still people who don't have that understanding of gratitude yet, or kind of struggle with feeling grateful for what they have. So thank you for sharing what you feel grateful for right now. Off the top, you mentioned earlier that I think you said 2 or 4 years ago, you were in a space that you didn't necessarily feel like your best self. What did that look like, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, it was like, I would say about like maybe going on like 3-4 years now. So like in the time, it's that time frame between like 2016 to like maybe like 2018, where it was just like, it was like where I really started to notice like where I was headed, in a way of like just how I would handle things. And, you know, in that time, it was like, you know, a lot of drinking, you know, a lot of just like, you know, moving from like woman to woman, you know, just doing the most, like being like a very toxic person in a way. And not just like, you know, like toxic in relationships, you know, but being like so like off-putting to some people. Like there was this one time, you know, I used to live with it was like me and my friends, we used to live together, and like it was like a pretty decent sized house, had a bunch of bedrooms. And, you know, there was this, you know, they would have their friends over, and, you know, I'd be so like in my own world and like in my own space, like, you know, because at the time I was like, I'm like putting myself through college, and, you know, I was also in the military, and like just still trying to figure out all this like photo stuff. And there was this one guy, you know, we spoke, you know, years later about it, but like he told me the story where like, you know, he was at the house that I was living at, you know, with my friends, and like I came in, and like, you know, he said something to me, and I guess like I was just so like he said that it seemed like I didn't like him. Whether it's like I ignored him, or like I said, you know, I was just like very off-putting. But like, and there's just like, you know, situations like that can rub people the wrong way. And then like years later, you know, like you know, I see him, and, you know, we're talking, and he's just like, yo, like you just seem like a completely different person from like when I first met you. Because like when I first met you, you know, you just came off this certain way, and it was just like not how you are right now. And it's like, you know, situations like that mean a lot to me, because, you know, it tells me that I am, you know, like I am getting better with myself, and like how, you know, my interactions with people, and like how people perceive me. Because, you know, whether we like want to believe it or not, it's like even in those certain moments could have a lasting effect on, you know, how people view you. And like, and you never know what that can turn into in the future. You know, like that could have been a missed opportunity for something, just because, you know, I came at somebody the wrong way, whether I knew it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you brought up just the fact that someone noticed the progression in you. And I feel like you bringing that up is an affirmation that it's important for us to express those things to each other and let each other know, like, hey, I see the improvements that you're making, or I've noticed that there's this change in your energy. And acknowledging that in each other, I feel like makes a difference, because obviously it seems like it made it kind of lit a light bulb for you to notice like, hey, okay, I am making progress. I am changing.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you want to be viewed as? Like when people see Aaron, what do you want people to see?
I mean, there's a lot that I want people to perceive me as, but and just like if somebody was to get a quick glance at like just like who is Aaron Ricketts, like I want to be seen as this, this positive force, that is just doing what he can to not only better himself, but to uplift and help, people around him, like in whatever way I can.
Yeah. I have noticed that you've been really investing in your wellness. So what have you been investing in? I see that you've been working out, you've been learning Spanish, you've been meditating. When did you start implementing those things into your life?
I feel like they've all kind of had their gradual progression into my routine. Just because I'm very like I'm in this mindset of like because there's a lot of things I want to get done in a day, and there's just there's only but so many hours. So it's like for me, it's like all right, I make the time for all the things I need to like I want to accomplish in a day, and so there was a point where it's like I started the therapy, and I think I really started that maybe I would say maybe like 2 years ago, but like it's been like very kind of on and off. But now it's like part of my routine is like one of the first things I do in the morning is meditate. And then like Spanish, again, it was like one of those things where like I started it and it was very like on and off, but then it was like, all right, I want to make sure I like work on this like every single day, even if it's like a little bit. And so now it's like that's also part of my like morning routine. And then also like with my workouts, like I've always been, in this the realm of like fitness and like health. There was a point in time that I was actually like a certified personal trainer because I thought that's something that I wanted to really focus on in my life. But since then, I'm not in that space anymore. But just physical training and working out is still just part of like who I am. And so like that's always just been a part of my routine. So now it's like my like 3 pillars in the morning is like Spanish, meditation, and working out. And then like that those 3 things like start the tone for my day, because like one, it's like all right, like I'm working on my personal development and like just learning a new language. I'm making sure I meditate to like really like get my mind right, set my like the goals I want to accomplish in a day, like my like whatever affirmations I want to tap into for the day, and then just like making sure I keep myself leveled and just like mentally, and that spills over into the physical realm as well. And then going from those 2 things is getting my workout in like in the morning, just because I mean I like being healthy, and I like the challenge of moving my body and stuff like that.
What, if any, growing pains have you experienced from these wellness investments that you've made? Like, have your investments in your mental wellness led you to the growing pains of having to let certain people in your life go, or certain environments or situations?
Oh, I mean that for me, that all just comes down to what you're willing to sacrifice. And I like years ago, like just knowing what I want to accomplish in my life, I knew that I would have to give certain things up, and I'm not one to be opposed to that, just because I know, to reach certain levels and to accomplish certain things, you have to give certain things up, because you can't have certain you know, whether it be like negative things in your life or like people that aren't working in the same direction, you know, it just becomes a conflict for, you know, what you want to achieve and like, you know, being in these areas of life that, you know, go against that. So like whether it's like, you know, not spending much time with friends, you know, like having certain relationships drift apart, or just like, you know, whether like family, whatever, like whatever, just giving certain things up, you know, that is the trade-off for what you actually want to achieve or accomplish. And for me, I'm very, very goal-oriented, and like, I know what I want. And so for me, like, if I have to give something up to achieve those things, like, I'm going to give it up because, you know, what my wants and my desires outweigh like, you know, instant gratification or certain relationships that don't work, because, you know, I'm all about the long game and like everything's a marathon. So like, if you're not in it for the long term, for me, for in whatever area of my life, like it's just, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Have you always had this mindset?
Yes. Like, cause I've always, I think I'm one of the fortunate people to like, just I've always known what I've wanted since high school. And, you know, it isn't like, it got more specific as I got older, just because when you're young, like, you know what you want, but then you don't really know how to, you know, start walking that path and going in that direction. But, you know, I knew what I wanted, and it's, for me, it just, everything has gotten clearer as I've gotten older and as I continue to move on in my life's journey. And so now it's like everything is like pretty much crystal clear to me.
Yeah. How did you, what did that transition from initially wanting to have a career in the wellness space to now having a career in photography? And
well, the thing is that the wellness space, it just came up just because of like my love of like fitness. And it's because like photography in the creative field has always been like what I wanted to do, like from the very beginning of like, you know, since I knew what I wanted to do. And the like fitness and wellness area kind of came about after it, like really just to be kind of a like an like supplementation to like what I already do, just because I'm so invested in my own personal health, you know. So it wasn't that area wasn't something that was really going to take the forefront over the creativity and photography, but more just be, you know, that side thing for me, you know. And but then I come to realize like I don't think I have the patience to, you know, lead other people to these certain like wellness goals and stuff like that, just because I've come to realize that, you know, if some people want something, they have to really get themselves there. And I'm just like, I could not invest a lot of my time and energy, you know, in that space. So it was like really more so like, all right, like I can do this for myself, but I need to continue to just focus on photography and like my creative practice.
yeah, yeah. What is it that you're passionate about photography and the creative fields? Like, why are you so passionate about it?
It's just, it's an escape from, I mean, I don't want to say it's like an escape from reality, just because like, you know, I love my life and I love everything in it. But it's just like with like creativity and like photography, like everything that comes with it is like, it's just a chance to create things that, you know, some people don't think is possible, you know. And I think one of my biggest foundations for me is that like I believe everything is possible, and that's only coming from, you know, my upbringing and the things that I've gone through, and like certain things that should not have happened but like happened. And, you know, so it's like I'm just built in this like mind frame that anything is possible. And that, you know, notion is what really drives a lot of my photography, you know, like, because I'm very heavily inspired by like surrealism and, you know, conceptual like photography and things like that, and like being able to convey certain emotions and certain feelings just by like creating things means so much to me, just because, you know, regardless of, you know, how many people consider themselves to be photographers or artists, is like no one can ever take your specific, you know, creativity or your like your viewpoint on things away from you, and like that can never be copied. And so to be able to live and work as, you know, someone working in the creative field, I feel like it's very telling, because, you know, people, you know, see what you think about and how you view the world, like, you know, and they put value against it, you know, like to hire you to do things, or like, you know, pay you a certain amount of money. It's like, yo, it means that, you know, my thoughts, like my feelings, how I see things, like it matters to people, and like that means a lot to me.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And I like that perspective of like the people that invest in you and your art are people who are also investing in the way that you see the world. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you know, people aren't just gonna give someone like tens of thousands of dollars to like, you know, do something if they didn't believe in how they, you know, they didn't believe in their perspective of the world.
Yeah. What is one of your creative projects that you've had that was really close to your heart, or like really just meant a lot to you?
I think I think the first project I did that really held the most weight for me is my senior thesis project, when I was graduating college, and only because that project was, it was more of a self-reflection and like almost like an autobiography on my life up till that point in time. And, you know, it was around that time, like that project was really one of the biggest catalysts for me to start really taking control of like my personal like wellness and like mental health, and, you know, just who I was as a person. Because, you know, I dipped into like areas of my life, like my childhood, like the relationships I had with my mother and my father, and just like, you know, all the struggles and challenges and things I had to do, you know, to get to that point of, you know, finishing my enlistment in the military and graduating from college, and, you know, working for myself as a photographer. And it was just, for me, that project was really heavy. And I think I got a good look at myself from that project to really start the journey of becoming a better person overall.
I love that. I feel like that must have been like a really good like way to close the chapter of you being in college, like kind of having that reflectional checkpoint.
Well, yeah, like I actually like I started, you know, seeing a therapist like after that, and like all that. It was just like to move forward, it's like you just gotta like handle your shit. Like you can't be out here walking around with like all these bent up emotions, whether it's like whatever it is, because like, yo, you just gotta let it go, because, you know, everything's okay.
Was there a moment where you had that realization of like, yo, like you really need to be expressing your emotions? Like, was there a time or an experience where you were penting up your emotions and you're like, yeah, this can't happen again?
Well, yeah, I think I used to do that a lot. Like I would just, you know, hold it in, and then like I would, you know, it would be like these moments where I lash out just because I didn't express, you know, how my thoughts or how I was feeling like immediately. And so now it's like, if I'm feeling a certain way, like I have to let it be known, like as soon as I'm feeling it. Like if I feel like there's a problem, like I'm going to say something. Like for me, like now it's like I can't afford to like not speak on how I'm feeling, just because it's only going to hurt me in the long run.
Yeah. Was getting into therapy something that was hard for you to open yourself up to, or was it something that you were like, it was easy to invest in?
I think not. It was a little of both, like, because I knew I wanted to do it. It was just like when I actually started it, it was kind of like I knew I had a little bit like a pushback with like the therapist, just because it's just like, like, who is this person, like, trying to talk to me about stuff. But then it's just like, I mean, at a certain point, it's just like, I was just like a running faucet, and I was just like letting things out and just talking about things, and just like it was like a space where I can just say whatever I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Is there a piece of advice that really stuck with you from your therapist?
I mean, it was a lot of things that we touched on. So I can't really say it was like one specific thing, but it's really like, even like now it's like, creating certain situations like for yourself, and like being in control of those certain situations. So like, for instance, like, I like, having like getting people together and like, creating these like intimate, moments and, situations for people to get together and like, build relationships with each other. But then at the same, like, I'm also very like, I can put myself in these like moments of like isolation, and like not say it's a bad thing, but it's like, like, if I know I like to do these certain things, it's like, let me be the one to create these opportunities for people to get together. Like, let me be the host, and then like do certain things that, I can then, be in that position to not only like, create certain, situations, not only for myself, but like other people as well.
Mm-hmm. Is that why you started the happy hours?
I mean, something like that. But even, before I started doing that, like, even like, pre-COVID, and like, even like years ago, like like, I would like host get-togethers where like I would cook and, like for people, and like just invite people. And it's just like, it'd be like a night of like, my friends and loved ones, like we just get together and like drink and eat and just have a good time. So it's like, I've always been one to like want to do certain things, but like even like like looking now at these like happy hour like Zoom things, it's like, it's almost the same concept, but like now like people are like in the comfort of their own homes, and it's just like people don't know who's going to, be in these Zooms. And so it's almost like a surprise for some people, just like for like to see who's in there. But we talk about, like any topic really, like, some of the things we've talked about, like we talked about relationships, we talked about the stock market, like we talked about like art and life, and just, whatever comes to mind. It's just like, it's just an easy time for people to just like decompress and just, meet new people, or like, catch up with people they met before from a previous one. And I mean, from what I've seen so far, I've gotten a very good response from the people who do come. And then, I have repeat visitors because they like the experience, and like just how casual it is to just be in the space with other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate to that. I really like hosting and holding space for people, and I'm excited to be able to do that again in person. Recently, you tweeted that you feel like your brain is unlocking. How so?
I mean, that was really, really geared more to like my creative space. Just because I'm also like right now I'm in the process of learning like 3D and like how to work through this like 3D program. So, I'm going through these different courses, and it just, every time I see something new within these courses, it just inspires me to continue to learn this so I can like start creating new things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I see that you're also kind of dipping your toes, I guess, in film, like being more involved in the film industry, in the movie industry?
Well, yeah. And that's for me. I feel like it's always been a goal of mine to like be in that realm. Like I used to like dream about being able to create, movie posters for my work. And so like, 2019, it was like my first opportunity to work on a film set for the film, for the upcoming release of the film Concrete Cowboys that should be coming out this year. And so I was able to be brought on to that film by the director, Ricky Staub. Shout out to him. And that experience was like a real eye opener to how like how movies are made, like how like sets work, and all the moving parts. And since then from doing that, I was able to join the International Cinematographers Union, which is called Local 600, and that just it just creates more of an opportunity for someone to get onto film sets, just because the film industry, the way it's structured, most people, or like most of the jobs on like the really like big budget type films are they're all governed under these like certain agreements with certain unions, whether it's like the cinematographers union, or there's a directors guild, and there's like all these different jobs have specific like unions to them. And so like to get some of the the good productions, like you need to be in these certain unions. And so because I did Concrete, I got into the union, and from there it's like now it's focusing to be able to get onto more sets. So like last year I worked on a film with Lifetime, and that was starting Making Good, and that came out with Valentine's Day, and so that was great. And like it's like for me, it's like now it's like to continue to build up these credits for these movies that I work on, and like these film and projects that I work on, to continue to work in this space, but then also to get onto larger productions. So like my dream right now is to be able to work on a Marvel set, because I'm a big fan of Marvel, and I feel like one day I'm gonna get a call to do still photography for one of their films, and then I can die happy.
Yeah, I did see that you have been mentioning like really wanting to work on a Marvel film, and I'm sure that you will make that happen.
One day is gonna happen.
Why Marvel?
It's just I'm a big like superhero like Marvel fan, and I don't know, just being able to be part of that process would be amazing, just because they've been doing really well with all their projects, honestly. And I can see myself creating some like amazing imagery by being a part of that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the NFT space?
I think it's interesting, and I'm actually looking forward to becoming a part of it. Like I've seen like some of the stuff that's been happening surrounding it, and I think it's awesome that there's these like artists who've never really sold pieces, and now they're like selling for like thousands of dollars, like and I think it's awesome, just because it really cuts out the middleman when it comes to certain things, and it really brings more control into like the artists themselves. And if you're looking at it, they're really building up this like community. And when one person makes a great gets a great sale, it's like it just, people are lifting each other up, and I think it's beautiful. I'm not 100% familiar on like everything about it, but like I'm looking into it, I'm like researching it, and like I'm about to mint a piece of my own soon. So
yeah. There's the NFT space, there's getting into the film space, there's your photography, there's, you said, working on these new aspects like with design. how do you manage not getting overwhelmed with everything that you want to do?
I mean, one is just like take it one thing at a time. And I like because I have like this certain like I make a daily like goal list of like things I want to at least accomplish in a day. So it's like, if I can touch on like each of those things within the day, like I feel accomplished. And then it's like even now it's like I used to feel like I had to do things or like work on something at every waking moment. But now it's just like, I don't like, I know like I don't have to do that because it doesn't really serve you in the long run. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'll have like a cutoff time for like to stop doing work, like in entirety. So like, it's usually around like, 8 or 9. And then from there, it's like, I like take time for myself to like, play games, watch TV, whatever, but then there's even some days like, I'm just like, I'm not going to do anything today. Cause I don't feel up to it. And like, I'm not going to like force myself to do things. And for me, it's just the taking the steps to really just to know and understand like when to just stop and just like, you don't have to work on something right now and just, enjoy yourself. And that's it.
Yeah. Like really acknowledging, I guess, your emotions in a sense and like how you're feeling that day. I feel like a lot of creatives, especially those who are independent contractors or freelancers or have their own business, have been becoming more and more aware of being mindful of their time and not forcing themselves to be like working 24/7, which I love to see. How has it been for you also experiencing fatherhood at the same time?
Honestly, it's been pretty dope. It actually feels way more natural than I thought it would. And it's just awesome. It's like, it's just, for me, it's just so beautiful, really. Like I'm watching this like little human, like just like grow up and like learn things. And I'm so excited about it. And I'm just looking forward to what that brings in life, honestly.
Yeah. How was it before she was born? Like, were you nervous or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was nervous, but essentially, nothing has like fundamentally changed for me. Like I feel like I'm still driven to like accomplish things, like probably even more driven now that I have someone that I want to like leave a legacy for. And like, it just, I don't know, nothing's really changed for me other than like knowing that like, I have even more of a reason now to like succeed at certain things.
Mm-hmm. How has your daughter shifted your mindset in any way? Like, how has she influenced you?
Yeah, again, like nothing has really changed. Like my mindset, it's still like, it's like eye on the prize, but like while I'm doing that, I'm making sure I'm taking steps to like set her up for success, on top of, when she gets older. So like, I'll take a percentage of like any job, like whatever I make, like, have a savings account for her, and like doing other things outside of that. Cause for me, when she becomes of age, like I want her to feel as though like she can choose whatever path she wants for herself. And I'm like on top of accomplishing my goals, it's like now it's like being mindful to, so I'm like, so I can like set her up to be able to do the things that she wants to do when she gets older.
Yeah. Yeah. This might feel like a very personal question, but you mentioned recently that you're really excited for some of this, like your life stories, to be able to tell your daughter. What is a story that you're really excited to tell her, or you're looking forward to telling her?
I mean, really, it's just I can't wait to tell her just like all the things that I've done, because there's still a lot of things I want to accomplish, and like who knows how those things will take shape before she's like conscious of certain things. But it's like I want to be able to tell her, like I want to tell her like about my journey, like about how hard I worked at certain things, like the people I worked with, like I really like I want my daughter to look at me like I'm some type of like celebrity.
Yeah. What was that turning point for you in your career where you may have landed a project or a certain client where you were like, okay, like I'm stepping into, I don't know. I just feel like all of us who are in the creative field, who work independently, do have like that one turning point client or project where it's like,
it's like I know exactly what you're like, where you're coming from, but to be honest, I know I have a lot of great projects under my belt, and I'm so grateful for them. But I still feel like I'm not there yet. That's hard to say, because I know there's some people that look at me and just be like, oh, like he's done X, Y, and Z. He shot X, Y, and Z. Like he's done this, that, and the third. But it's just like there's certain goals that like I have not met for myself yet. So I personally feel like I haven't reached that turning point yet. Like, although there are those milestones for me. So like, hosting the like Rolling Loud's first ever like photo studio for like the artists and special guests, working on the film Concrete Cowboys, and doing all these other projects. Like those are very special to me, and I feel like they mean a lot because they mean that people have trusted me to work on really important projects. It's just that there's still some things that I want to meet for myself to even feel like I've reached that certain point. So the journey is literally, I feel like I'm only still at like the very beginning of like my journey.
Yeah, I feel that. I understand. Where's your tunnel vision right now? It seems like you're very focused and ambitious on what it is that you want. Like where is your focus at right now?
Literally, I have like 3 areas of focus. It's like art, fashion, and entertainment. Like that's it. Like if things aren't in those areas, I'm not even worried about it, because that's just what it is.
Yeah. Have you worked in fashion yet?
See, I think I've worked. I mean, see, it's like when you see like people say fashion, it's like I've worked with like a Converse, and like I've worked with, a True Religion. But like, I just from the way like I see certain brands moving, how people are embracing more, abstract art and more surrealism and stuff like that. I still feel as though there's people that I want to work with that I feel like I can successfully, do a project for them. So like, working with like a Gucci, or like working with like an Alexander Wang, or, whatever. And so it's like, there's certain people that I still want to work with that like I have not. But it's like for me, it's like anything is possible. So it's like you just have to continue to walk in that direction. And I think a lot of that really just comes down to the continuous just exploration of my own thoughts and things that really interest me that can then be implemented with some of these other brands and things, because it's like, we're shifting into this whole other like, area of interest with a lot of things. And, I feel like I'm right on the money for like what some people will be like searching for. I mean, but then also it's just, too, like working at like learning to work in a 3D space, a lot of these projects eventually are going to start shifting into that realm. And so for me, it's like, being able to learn that, to be able to work in that space, once I feel comfortable to.
Yeah. Thinking ahead. To bring this kind of full circle, what season of your life would you say that you're in right now?
I don't know. Because it's like if I had to say, because like I'm in like an infinite springtime, because I'm always learning, I'm always growing. Like, I like to look at things from a new perspective, like whenever I can. It's just like to be in this constant state of like acknowledging that there's still more to learn. It's like I don't see how like for me it's like how can anything get stale, because I like to take challenges, I like to take risks, so it's like every day is a new experience for me. You know what I'm saying? So like I would call it an infinite springtime.
I like that. I feel like that could be an artwork of some sort. What is a risk that you've recently taken?
I mean, I'm not gonna go into those things in full detail, but like, I take some heavy risks a lot, and it's just because, and the only reason why I do that is because part of my mental development is looking at certain things differently than what we are like usually geared to look at stuff. So like for instance, like like money, like people have this certain relationship with money, and like we're taught to like we need to like money is important, like you don't want to go broke, like you gotta like do all these certain things. But it's like for me it's like money doesn't really exist, so use it to further the things that I want. And then like with that, it's like also you gotta realize like money is this endlessly flowing resource. Like it comes and it goes. So like with that, like are you going to let it go toward things that aren't serving you, or are you going to use it to take certain risks that could be beneficial to you in the long run? Because with no risk there's no reward. You know what I'm saying? So like for me it's like like take chances, like get messy, make mistakes. Like.
Yeah, I have the same mindset. I feel like having this playful, I guess, approach to investments and not having attachment in a sense to money or things like that is healthy, I think, because it makes you feel, it gives you like a sense of freedom, I think, in a sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this was a very eclectic conversation. I feel like we touched on a lot of different topics, and I really appreciate you being open to talking about all of these things.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Of course, anytime.